We didn't kill Haile Selassie. It's not true. I've heard that I myself have killed him personally. I have never killed anyone in my life. I have been in a very battlefield. Have given order, map out to the tactic and strategy, but I myself didn't stop anybody. But I have heard that I have killed him and I buried him in my office, which is entirely untrue and very sad story.
There's a tomb and that there was a funeral. When you look at those involved in the different political reasons for the funeral, nearly 30, was it 20, 30 years later? I mean, what kind of nonsense is this? Even the bones, the alleged bones, were proven a lie. And this is not even to mention what the scriptures say, what the Metzhaf says, and what the proof and testimony of Abba Caduce is, and those witnesses of Abba Caduce as well. So I think it's important that one, first of all, acknowledge that it is a hoax. The alleged death of Haile Selassie is a hoax. It's a hoax. It was announced in the media, and we all know that the media always tells the truth. I'm being very sarcastic there. Is the so-called death of Haile Selassie a conspiracy? Is it a hoax? Yes. The alleged death of His Majesty, of His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I, conquering line of the tribe of Judah, elect of God, King of Kings of Ethiopia, in so-called August of 1975, is one of the biggest hoaxes or conspiracies of the 20th and still into the 21st century. Yes, it is a hoax, it is a lie. In fact, if you look at the evidence of it, folks will tell you, well, there's a tomb and that there was a funeral. When you look at those involved in the different political reasons for the funeral, nearly 30, was it 20, 30 years later? I mean, what kind of nonsense is this? Even the bones, the alleged bones, were proven a lie. And this is not even to mention what the scriptures say, what the Metzhaf says, and what the proof and testimony of Abba Caduce is, and those witnesses of Abba Caduce as well. So I think it's important that one, first of all, acknowledge that it is a hoax. The alleged death of Haile Selassie is a hoax. It's a hoax. It was announced in the media, and we all know that the media always tells the truth. I'm being very sarcastic there. You understand? I mean, just for that fact alone should tell you, you understand, that you're not being told the entire truth. Now, one will say, well, why would that be important? Some say, well, you're acting like Haile Selassie was not a man. And we never have denied that Haile Selassie is a true and a living man. And that has been our one and only testimony as Rastafari. But what's interesting is that many who are not Rastafari, or who were not Rastafari, are beginning to find their own evidence and proof of exactly what we've been saying for the past 20, 30 years concerning not just Haile Selassie, but also concerning the whole global situation.
I had the good fortune and good opportunity to meet the great spiritual being called Haile Selassie. He was called the conquering lion of Judah. Conquering lion of Judah. So this was a great opportunity, and I felt very humbled, and I felt very joyous at the same time to have met him. This was in the year 1981. I think I mentioned it in my book. I don't know exactly. Was it 81 or 82? Not 81, 82. And that time I was very young, and he was in it, nearing his 90s. It was a great experience to meet such a spiritual being. He was not an ordinary being, he was a spiritual master. Oh! And his work was very difficult because he took on a lot of karma, a lot of hardships from the people of Ethiopia. His souls had to pass through these tribulations, they had to pass through trials to get to the eternal heavens, to get to the eternal space, the space of God. So he was preparing the space of God for not only the people of Ethiopia, but people all over the world. Moses' time, even before the time of Moses, the Ethiopian culture was one of the highly civilized cultures in the world, along with the Indus Valley civilization and the Saraswati civilization of India. Some people had said that His Majesty had already gone, he had taken his samadhi, he had actually died. That was the rumors. But some people, the Rastafarian people and other people, that feel that he came back from his body, because I met him in 1982 and he was declared dead in 1970, sometime in 1970, right? 1975. And I met him in 1982. That means, like the Christ, he has either risen from the dead. So this is the thing which it's a very spiritual thing. I won't want to go into this. I'm going to leave it to you to contemplate and see what this great master had done. And that he was there and he expressed to have a fire ceremony. So that time he was nearing 100. He was well over 90. His question was that when I wrote in my book that I met His Majesty Haile Selassie in 1982, his question was, did anybody challenge you, because he was already dead in 1975, and or did anybody want to question you on that? So I felt that the Rastafarian community had a great sense of awe. It was surprise, and they did not challenge because they knew and they felt that His Majesty had the power to resurrect. You understand? And those Rastas who wanted to challenge did not have the courage, because they knew that that His Majesty, after all, he is from the house of Solomon and of the house of Sheba, and this is a very sacred thing. He is a divine being, and the divine being can do anything. And I think you see. The mind of different people are different. So the mind in Africa is more open. They're not closed, they're not inhibited. They do believe, yes, a spirit can come, an angel can appear, Christ can bless you, Haile Selassie can meet you. As long as you have that hope, he can come and meet you, you can feel his presence. You can feel him talking through me. So once you open up your heart, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. God is not impossible. Only the stupid mind is impossible, which keeps tripping over its own doubts. And then ultimately, if the mind keeps doubting, it gets analysis, paralysis, and dies. The moment your mind dies, God appears. God is no mind. God is. And when the mind disappears, God appears. As long as the mind is there, God chooses to be in the background. Because the mind is ego. It's piping up all the time and trumpeting its own glory. I did this and I did that and I went here and I went there. So these are the sort of discussions I had with His Majesty. And he was very intrigued in the science of yoga, in the science of Kriya Yoga and breathing. And he practiced it. And when he practiced it, he saw the result also. He is a very, very ancient soul, come from the divine sphere. He is not only born in this life, he is tens of thousands and thousands of years old. That soul is tens of thousands and millions of years old. Definitely he is such a power that if you invoke him in meditation, he can come. He is more than an ordinary soul. This is the message which all of you are aware of. In the League of Nations, he was there, and there's a story about him that one person came and he held a pistol and a revolver. He wanted to shoot him. And His Majesty just turned, he had nothing in his hand, and he just looked at him like this. And that man's hand went down and he dropped the revolver. So that shows the power of the soul. That's a divine soul power. No ordinary person can do that. That is one of the most powerful things. To change within a split second an aggressive person and change him into a docile person and later a friendly person is, I think, a great miracle. And one of the greatest miracles ever performed on a public platform. So I was very impressed with this. And there are many stories of this which are so ancient. But there are people who know what he did and who he was. And certainly one of the great gifts to humanity. He did his work and went, although it appeared that he left certain places undone or Ethiopia was not properly cared for. But high command, even higher forces than in God's power said that certain people have to go through certain surgery. They have to go through certain suffering so that they will become as stronger souls. In our philosophy, in the religion of truth, as I am an existentialist, I am a realist, and according to reality, you can never die. You are not this house of flesh and bone. You are not this house of flesh and bones, which sleeps, decays, and dies. You are not this house of flesh and bone, which sleeps, decays, and dies. You are immortal consciousness, Lord of the earth and the skies. All of you are this. And the thing with His Majesty, the divine thing, he had realized it, you have not. That's the difference. So if you practice, you will also realize that. That Ethiopia will come up on the world scenario. Yeah, because the souls who are there will always be there. They keep changing, They keep changing their outer coats, their bodies. But the inner man is the same. The inner person is always the same. And if you practice spiritual techniques, you can get to spiritual.